The confused society. Marrying poverty to poverty and calling it empowerment is like pouring petrol on fire and calling it rain. By Tiraki Abdulhamid Yahya. When two young people have little education, no sustainable income, and no employable skills, marriage does not magically transform their economic circumstances. A wedding ring does not create employment, a marriage certificate does not generate income, furniture does not pay school fees, and a celebration does not put food on the table. If both partners are economically vulnerable and immediately begin raising children without adequate support, society may unintentionally be reproducing the very poverty it claims to be fighting. This is not an argument against marriage, it is an argument for responsible preparation for marriage. I write this not to insult anyone, ridicule marriage, or diminish the legitimate desire of young people to build families. I write it to confront us with a truth that has become so uncomfortable to ignore. Across northern Nigeria, population is growing rapidly, yet the infrastructure, education, employment opportunities, healthcare facilities, and economic capacity required to support that population are not growing at the same pace. Marriage is important, family is important, religion is important, but marriage alone does not cure unemployment, illiteracy, poverty, trauma, or hopelessness. If two economically vulnerable people are brought together without adequate preparation skills, income, and access to basic services, we may simply be creating another household that struggles to survive. And when that household produces children without the capacity to adequately feed, educate, and protect them, the consequences eventually become a problem for the society. The Kano State government's mass wedding programs has generated considerable public attention, with government committing substantial public resources to support thousands of couples. Other northern states, including Katsina and Zamfara, have also introduced similar programs. Imagine doing mass wedding. After the mass wedding, what next? They'll start giving birth to children that they cannot take care of. And those ones too will grow up, you do mass wedding for them too. The question we should be asking is not whether these couples deserve support. They do. The question is what kind of support will actually change their lives. If government spend billions of naira organizing weddings, providing dowries, furniture, or small amounts of startup capital, but leaves the underlying problem of illiteracy, unemployment, inadequate healthcare, poor housing, and lack of economic opportunities largely untouched, then we must ask whether we are solving poverty or we are merely postponing it. Walk through major cities across northern Nigeria and look carefully. Children are increasingly visible on the street at traffic junctions, markets, and public spaces. Some are begging, some are hawking, some are simply wandering. Others have never had consistent access to quality education. These children are not statistics. They are the consequences of decisions made by adults and institutions. When a family cannot adequately provide food, education, healthcare, and protection for its children, the children eventually migrate to the streets in search of survival. And the street has its own curriculum. It teaches survival without discipline, desperation without opportunity, and sometimes anger without direction. If we do nothing, today's neglected children may become tomorrow's unemployed adults, victims of exploitation, drug users, criminals, or recruits for violent groups. Poverty eventually enters the classroom and hospital. A child born into extreme poverty does not begin life with the same opportunities as a child born into financially secure household. Give young couples more than a wedding ceremony. Give them skills, give them education, give them healthcare, give them economic opportunities, give them the capacity to raise their children with dignity, give them a future. Because marrying poverty to poverty and calling it empowerment is like pouring petrol on fire and calling it rain. The North deserves better, and his children deserves better still or more. I'm telling you, because really, how can you be doing mass wedding for people? So after they get married, what next? They don't have a skill, they don't have a job. Are you going to continue giving them money to sustain their families? And then they start having kids inside the poverty. Then they don't send the kids to school. You start seeing them on the road begging. Some of them will turn into terrorists at such a tender age. And they still continue to do this rubbish mass wedding. It is well. Johnny Blackman said the truth is coming out little by little. When I said the northern elites are busy brainwashing the poor masses while their own children are schooling abroad, turn the poor into religious houses where they keep them in Islamic ideologies, captivity and slavery for life. Many said I'm stupid. And that's the truth. Because all these northerners, their governors, their leaders, their children are abroad. You see them, their children are way educated than the normal other northerners. I don't know when they want to be wise. As a married without education is on call for capital nonsense. Emmanuel says sponsored mass wedding of our Nigerian boys and girls purposely to breed like pigs and rats and promote population that will populate the hell, according to their book. The wickedness of these leaders to their people has no bound. They know that these are evil, but decided to implement it, hiding other religion just for electoral votes. Sabo Miracle said then they will give birth to terrorists, political thugs, kidnappers, rebels. Yes, that's what they give birth to. Terrorists, bandits. Then Bright says a very sound advice, but can we make use of it? Ime Udofia says Islam ideology is poverty. Alarm by Billy says confusion plus confusion is equal to more confusion. Simon says my problem is that most of these people involved are divorcees from previous marriages and can still be divorced after squandering whatever the government has provided for them. You start hearing Saki Daya, Saki Biyu and Saki Uku because the marriage was burnt out of love, but for the incentives was not born out of love, but for the incentive that is involved. As Michael Ayumu says, I believe this is a good thing, but the birth rate should be regulated and all the couples should have good mentors. How will the birth rate be regulated? How? I beg. Okay, now says those who know it feel it. I sincerely pity Turaki Alhamid because he is aware of the great damage that those who view politics as a profession are doing to Nigeria and its citizens. I'm aware that the so-called politicians are deliberately impoverishing the gullible citizens so that they will serve their political and personal interest in the future. If all of us are truly educated, whom then with the politicians use as political thugs, they sponsor marriages as a favor to the couples. KC377 says, very well said, hope they listen and do the needful. The North cannot continue like this. FM Basi says, I think the only purpose is to create population increase for elections because I don't see any tangible reason other than that. Darling Peter says, Northern governors doing this instead of enlightening their people. Anyway, that population will dwindle again, still in the north by their so-called Islamic enforcers. David Apollo says, how would you see a demonstration of what is called mental slavery and poverty of the mind? Olabisi says, truly, Kano State is developing more Boko Haram kidnappers and bandits and all sorts of misfits through Amajiris. Can you find Amajiris in Saudi Arabia? The origin of their religion. So, my listeners, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Thank you for listening. See you some other time. Bye.